Hello students, welcome back. This is Dr. Mercado speaking. We are continuing covering Chapter 2, which deals with computing wages and salaries. In this particular lecture, we are going to be covering exercise 217A, which deals with piecework earnings. Okay, so let me go ahead and jump over to the actual exercise that we're going to be covering in this lecture. So, the problem reads, during the first week in November, Aaron Mills worked 45 and a half hours and produced 1,275 units under a piece rate system. The regular piece rate is 45 cents a unit. Mills is paid overtime according to FLSA ruling for overtime work under a piece rate system. Compute. We are being asked to calculate the piecework earnings, the regular hourly rate, the overtime hourly rate, the overtime earnings, and the total earnings. Okay, so with the information provided, we have to do all of those calculations. Before we move into the actual problem solving, make sure that we read the problem. There is a section on your ebook, section 24B, that deals with piece rates. It has a lot of information. It includes examples that you can follow. It's just a wealth of information. This is a section that you need to refer to be able to learn a little bit more of piece rate. I'm not going to go too much into detail about everything that is included here. I just wanted to direct you to the area of your book where you need to go back and read, but just make sure that you do go and cover that area of piece rate. Okay, so what is a piece rate system? It's basically a compensation plan where workers are paid according to their output. The more they produce, the more they pay. Okay, so this is good for people that work very hard and they strive to be the best. They're high producers. If you have a person that works very hard, they're going to produce high numbers, high volumes. They're going to get paid a lot. You've got lazy people that are very slow at things. They don't put much effort into it. Then they're going to get compensated based on their work and effort. Okay, so a lot of companies, especially if it has to do with production, they go ahead and they pay their employees on a piece rate system plan. Okay. Even though companies use a piece rate system, the piece rate must equal to the statutory minimum wage. So if you have a person that is very slow at working and they don't meet or they don't make the appropriate amount of output to meet the minimum standard, the minimum wage, the employer has to pay them at least minimum wage. Okay, the employee cannot make less than minimum wage. So let's get ready. Okay, to analyze the information that we have. Okay, so the first thing we have is calculating our piecework earnings. Okay, so this particular employee, let me do the calculations here on the side. This particular employee produced 1,275 units and they get paid 45 cents a unit. So we calculate the piecework earnings by getting the 1,275 units, and we're going to multiply that by the 45 cents per unit. Okay, and let's see what we get. 1275 times 0.45. That gives me 573.75. Okay. Oh, sorry. I deleted it. Okay, over here. 573.75. Here we go. So that is how much the employee earned based on their production of 1,275 units. Okay. Now using that information, we have to calculate the hourly rate. Okay. So to get the hourly rate, well, I know that this employee earned 573.75. Okay. And I'm going to divide that by the number of hours worked during the week. The employee worked 45 and a half hours. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to divide by 45.5 hours. And let's see what we get. Okay, let me get my calculator. So I've got my 573.75. That's how much they made during the week. They worked 45.5 hours during the week. Okay. So that gives me an hourly rate of 12.609. Now let's look at that third digit. Okay, that third digit is a 9 because it's a 9, which is a 5 or greater. We're going to round that second digit to a 1. So it'll be $12.61. Okay. Make sure you always look at that third digit. Okay. Now for the overtime pay, using the piece rate system, we pay half the rate. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get the $12.61. and I'm going to multiply it by 0.5. Okay, let's see what we get. 12.61 times 0.5. And that gives me $6, 6.305. So let's look once again at that third digit. That third digit is a 5. Because it's a 5, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to round up. So I'm going to make that second digit a 1. So it'll be $6.31. Remember, always look at that third digit. If it's between a 0 and a 4, you keep that second digit as is. If it's a 5 or greater, you need to round that second digit up 1. So in this case, it'll be $6.31. Okay? Okay. So now we have to calculate our overtime earnings. Okay? So the employee is going to get paid overtime. We know that the employee worked 5.5 hours of overtime. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to multiply it by my overtime rate. My overtime rate is $6.31. Okay. So it'll be 5.5 hours times 6.31. That gives me 34.705. So let's look at that third digit once again. It's a 5. Because it is a 5, I'm going to round up. So that's going to give me $34.71. Okay. Oh, sorry, 34.71. There we go. And now we can calculate our total earnings. And that total earnings is going to be the sum of your piecework earnings plus your overtime earnings. And that's going to give you a total of 608.46. Okay. So what we did here is we first calculated the piecework earnings based on their production. So we multiplied their production in units times the rate per piece. And then based on that information, we calculate the hourly rate, and then we calculate the overtime rate. Okay. Once we've calculated that, we can calculate the overtime earnings because they did work 5.5 hours above the 40. So we're going to calculate the overtime earnings by getting what we calculated, our overtime rate, times the number of hours worked above 40. And then that gives us our overtime earnings. So then you just add your piecework earnings plus your overtime earnings, and that will give you your total earnings. Okay. Fairly simple. It's just a matter of, I would say, be very cautious in your rounding. That's where I see most of the students make mistakes. And just because a simple mistake where we round incorrectly, that causes the problem to be wrong. So that is basically it for this particular assignment or this particular problem that you're going to be seeing on your homework. If you have any questions as you're working your homework, please don't forget to contact me Monday through Friday. That way I can help you out as much as I can. Okay, and that is it for this lecture. Until next time, thank you.